Hi again, everybody. Dave Stevens here on the Disability Channel, and welcome to the new edition of Pressbox. I'm your host, and of course, we've got a great show for you tonight. But I want to bring in a guy that's going to be working with me on Pressbox for, let's say, however long he wants to. He's my good friend, MacKay. Casey, thanks for joining us on Pressbox and working with us. And for those people that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about your background, my friend.
Well, thanks, Dave. So I've been involved with the Disability Channel for the past 2 years, and that's actually where I did my college internship. My interests are editing for TV and hopefully one day being a host. So this experience is going to be great for me, and I'm looking forward to working with you and getting as much experience as possible. So I'm really looking forward to working with you.
And I know you love hockey, obviously, over your shoulder. So give us a little bit about your hockey background. Why do you love it, and who some of your favorite players and teams are?
So I really love it, and my favorite team is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and my favorite athlete right now is Morgan Riley. He's a really good buddy of mine, and I really love how he's playing as of recently. So I love cheering on that team.
And you recently have even had some experiences interviewing some NHL legends, working with Easter Seals, and appearing at some of these events where some of the great alumni come to. So tell us who you talked to and what that experience has been like as you're trying to learn this business.
So sure. So recently I got to speak with Eric Lindros, Brad May, Ala Frady, Andre Raw, Wendell Clark, and many others, and just pick their brains about their hockey experience, what it was like playing in their days compared to hockey nowadays. And you'd be surprised how different hockey is compared to when they played. So it's really interesting for me to learn about their stories and hear about their experiences. So it's just a great experience all around.
And speaking about old time hockey, that leads us to what do we have on the plate tonight for tonight's show. Joining us in a little bit is NHL goalie, one of the greatest that I've ever had the chance to see, Marty Turco. He's going to join us to talk about old school hockey, new hockey, and what he's been doing as a three-time NHL All-Star from the wonderful days he had with the Dallas Stars. Also joining us is Chris Berman, my old buddy from my days at ESPN. We spent 20 days together. He sat down with me to talk about his memories at ESPN, and of course, what it was like to work with me, one of the first disabled people at ESPN. It's a wonderful interview, but Casey, we've got a great show. It's going to have all kinds of action-packed things. Are you ready to get this thing started?
I am. Let's go.
All right, so don't change that dial, your keypad, your cell phone, whatever you're doing. I'm Dave Stevens, and you're watching
Pressbox.
Stay tuned.
Step back here. See these? You kind of want to put your feet on those because that's the plate. So put 1 foot here and 1 foot there. He's going to throw it. You're going to hit. Do you see what happens at these kind of camps? I'm Dave Stevens for Pro Stance, and these tools are amazing, especially with special needs kids who don't really know how to play sports. You put these down, they step in, and it takes care of the rest. It's magic. Let's just see the results. Now you see these Pro Stance things on the ground. I mean, have you ever seen anything like that, and what are they like?
No, sir, I haven't, but they're good because, I mean, you got to get to a good balance spot, and it just shows you, like, you can do it.
Now we've got these crazy things, these Pro Stance things. You saw those a little bit earlier. What'd you think?
You introduced me to them. I think they're pretty good for getting a nice little shoulder width apart, staying and get some traction, just getting off that one back foot and trying to step out and drive the hips through it. It gives you a nice little block to set your whole foot on. So I think they're a pretty good invention. I think they should have came out a while ago, I think.
What are your thoughts about Pro Stance?
Invaluable. One word, invaluable. I mean, tremendous tool to use from disability dream and do levels, T-ball, Little League, right on up through.
Welcome back to Pressbox. I'm Dave Stevens, and you see these trophies over my shoulder. Those were Emmys that I won during my 20-year plus career at ESPN. And when I was working at the Worldwide Leader of Sports, a lot of great people worked there. Guys like Stuart Scott, Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Kenny Mayne, Bob Lee, and of course, the great Chris Berman. And Chris and I had a great relationship because we got to work on Sunday NFL Countdown together. We went to Super Bowls together. It was like watching Michael Jackson walk the streets when Boomer is walking around in these crowds. And recently, I had a chance to catch up with my old buddy to talk about ESPN, talk some shop, but more importantly, talk about what it was like to work with somebody with a disability.
The man next to me, he doesn't really need an introduction because he's a legend. But more than a legend, he's a friend. A guy that I grew up watching on TV and then had the opportunity to work with for 20 years. He is Chris Berman. And Boomer, thanks for spending a little time with me. This is one of the few times we ever get to catch up, but it's great to see you.
Cat, we call him Cat. Dave, great to see you, pal.
Hey,
nice
it's great to see you in person. I mean, he texts now, and that's you've caught up with the world.
That's somewhat.
You're still on TV after all these years. Did you think in '79 that you'd still be in people's homes and still have a fan base and people that love Boomer?
No, it's not about me. I mean, I'm able 42 years later. I was 24 when I started ESPN, as you know. We didn't know would we be on a few years later. So I'm foolish. They're foolish enough to keep me around is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, I'm glad you're still there. And I look back to the memories and, you know, the way you embraced me. I was this little 29-year-old kid from Minnesota, you know, coming up, and you give me the nickname Cat, you know, Cat Stevens. But I also was like the very first disabled person at ESPN, and I think it was a unique culture for people to get to know me. And I've often wondered, you know, was there apprehension at first, or did it evolve to where I became just Dave, a regular guy? I've often wondered, you know, because I was the only one at the beginning, what that was like to work with somebody with a disability.
No, we didn't look at you any differently. Again, that's the quote proper thing to say. Well, first of all, as we got to know you too, so I will say only this: despite your daily life and what it took for you to even get to work for I'd like to say the 8 hours, but more the 10 or 11 hours that we would work together on a given day. On occasion, we thought about, what's it like for Dave to go home? And then we'd feel lucky, but you wouldn't want us to feel that way. And we knew that also. You're unique more than we are, okay? I'll just leave it at that.
All right. I wasn't looking for the accolade.
I know that.
Thank you. As we wrap up, I know you get put on the spot all the time, but, you know, I pick memories that I've seen, the things that you've covered. Is there that one moment in sports? Was it with your dad? Was it on a field? Like that one moment that every now and then just pops up as that moment of your life, just that was it?
September 6, 1995 was when Cal Ripken surpassed Lou Gehrig's unreachable star, as I said that night. 2,130 games played consecutively. That's 14 and a half years or whatever the number is. And I get teary and my hair sticks up on my arms when I think about it.
When I think about your home run call, I mean, that's just
well, it's not about me.
But here you are in that moment, and you get to be a part of that moment.
Well,
you know?
when the game becomes official after the team behind bats 5 times, which was California at the Angels. And the number came down on the warehouse. 2-1-3, and the 0 became a 1. And Cal made that lap. Buck Martinez and I and the production crew were smart enough to say nothing. This isn't lauding me. You want to know why I said nothing? We were crying. Not all 22 minutes.
Right.
Tears of happiness. I'm tearing up a little now. And Joe DiMaggio was in the stadium representing Lou Gehrig. That's pretty heavy, right? I mean, and there are others, his dad and mom, and I mean, we could go on and on. Earl Weaver and Brooke Robinson in the back. Joe DiMaggio was there representing my teammate, Lou Gehrig. Okay, this is 1995. Lou's not been with us for 60 years. That was a night for America, and going to work more than just, hey, it's a great baseball moment, it's a good record. No. So what's scary about it is I'm giving you the highlight of that's 26 years ago already, so I don't know, I hope I have another one, but that would be the one because it was larger than baseball or even sports. And I know everybody who watched it remembers where they were, not because we did it, but they remember.
Okay, last question. Hopefully in 20 or 30 years, what do you want to be known for? What's your tombstone? What's your I call it my legacy, but what's your legacy?
You know what? If they put on my tombstone, and I know you well enough to know the same with you, forget everything else. He was a good guy. Just put that on there. Not that he did the hell with it. He was a good guy. I'm good. You know, my kids could read that, or my grandkids could read that. He was a good guy. Yeah, maybe he was. Although your kids always like, Dad, you know. Grandkid I have a better shot with, you know, but look, I'm sure if they put that on yours, you'd be pretty satisfied, wouldn't you, Dave?
Yeah, I'll take up less of a casket too. I only have to buy half, so.
See, you're
compact.
I told you about your attitude. You're unbelievable.
Well, talk about
and we
nice
knew that
guys.
early.
You are a nice guy, Chris Berman. Thank you for spending some time. It was supposed to be 2 minutes, but as we know, there's no time.
I can't say hello in 2 minutes. So let alone, and look, we don't get a chance to visit as longtime friends that much on camera or without. And I wish you luck with your newest endeavors because you have your compass, my friend, is always pointed north.
Oh, thank you.
Despite whatever life. And it's given you a lot rougher than any of us will ever know ourselves. It's always pointed north, and it continues to point north. And if this is for a class or for those, keep your compass pointing north, whatever it is that, even when things are going great, when it's quote easy, keep your compass going north because things often don't go great. Keep your compass pointing north.
Chris Berman, thanks, brother. Love you so much, man.
Take care of yourself. All right.
So, Dave, what was it like for you to work at ESPN as a person with a disability?
Well, you know what, Casey? At first, I was really apprehensive because nobody had been around with somebody at that time when I was on crutches. And I think people were kind of scared. I didn't know how bosses were going to treat me, if they were going to treat me fair, or if they were just kind of baby me. But because I had such a good ability to deal with satellites and trucks and crewing, my expertise took over. And when they saw those results, people started saying, hey, he doesn't have a disability. He's just good at what he's doing. So, you know, it was amazing to be there for 20 years, as I said, working with Linda Cohn, who's a huge hockey fan, and being a part of Super Bowls and World Series and commercials and things like that. You know, I'm just blessed. I'm so lucky that I had these opportunities. And, you know, Casey, I hope that you in this business, you know, get that opportunity to interview the stars, not just hockey players, but work hard on what your craft. And for you, Casey, I'm just wondering if it is going to be tough for you to wear your disability on your sleeve, because if you'd like to share with their audience what you've had to overcome, what you have to deal with, and how important it is for you to succeed in this business.
Sure. So I live with cerebral palsy, and it affects both my legs and my arms, and I walk with a walker. So, but I don't let that define me. There's much more to my personality, and I try to look at the positives every day. So when I'm interviewing these celebrities, I just try to focus on them instead of my barriers. So that's my biggest hope when I do these interviews, is that I look at them and not what my issues are.
Well, I know you've been doing a great job, and thanks to the Disability Channel for giving those people opportunities like yourself. And that's what we're trying to do with Pressbox and Disability Today show and all these things that we're doing. You know, I'm going to the Super Bowl. Casey and I are going to do some shows. He's not coming because Canada has a real tough time getting over here with COVID and everything. But hey, we're going to have some fun, and we're going to continue to do those kind of things. And we haven't saved the best for last, but we have saved Marty Turco. He's coming up in the next segment. Yeah, that's coming up. So it's Dave and Casey. We're right here. You're watching
Pressbox.
Stay tuned. Marty Turco's next. Welcome back to Pressbox. I'm Dave Stevens, your co-host, and I've got to bring in my buddy because our next segment coming up is, I think Casey's been pretty excited about getting to this guest from the top of the show. But, I had the pleasure of meeting Marty a couple months ago at a celebrity softball game in Dallas. And yes, even a hockey player can play some softball. But Casey, said, hey, can we try to get Marty on the show? So we were bringing in Marty Turco, coming to us from Texas, one of the greatest goalies that I ever had a chance to see. Long year with the Dallas Stars and also in Boston and Chicago. So, Marty, thanks for taking some time to join us on the Press Box.
No, I love it. Thank you for having me. Thanks for asking, most importantly. And we did have a good time on the ball field, but as you can tell, I feel a little more comfortable on the ice. And sometimes it's might be in my drink, sometimes it might be underneath me, but this is going to be fun.
We didn't embarrass ourselves. We came away with a win, and we came away with a friendship because, as I said, you and I talked, and I've admired your career for what you did on the ice, but now more importantly, what you're doing off the ice. And Casey, I'm going to let you kind of take over and talk a little hockey since, I'm the football guy. So
Okay, awesome. So, Marty, I was wondering if you could take us back to your first NHL game with Dallas and what the feeling was like putting on that jersey and stepping onto NHL ice for the first time, especially coming as a Canadian from Sault Ste. Marie. What was that first game like for you?
Well, it brings back a lot of great memories, Casey. The feeling was, just indescribable. And it was something at that point in my life I was really looking forward to, which a few years back from then, I don't think I could have said that because I didn't play my first game in the NHL until I was 25 years old. And, that never bothered me. It took a long time. I went to college, played in the minors. But I was very fortunate to be around a lot of good people. I was a third goalie for 2 cup runs in 99 and 2000 for the Dallas Stars as we call them Black Aces. And so I had a lot of great experience. I was really comfortable. I was a little bit older, which, kind of probably helped with my nerves. That being said, we lost 5-2 to the pesky Carolina Hurricanes. Arturs Urbe, legendary goalie at the other end, was really cool. And I'm glad you brought up Sault Ste. Marie, my hometown, very hockey-rich community in Northern Ontario. And in my first game, Casey, I got to play against the legendary and Hall of Famer Ron Francis was playing for Carolina, and I don't know how many points I let him have, but I'm sure he got a few in those 5 goals against. But no matter what, walking away from it, having a chance to have my first game played in the NHL for the Dallas Stars organization was amazing. I had a smile on my face after the game, despite giving up 5 and the loss. I knew I'd get another chance at it, so it was a great memory for my family and I. So,
what are the biggest changes you see currently in today's game that weren't there, say, 21 years ago when you started to play with Dallas?
There's a lot of changes. Generally speaking, fighting and aggressive behavior is down. Probably to the dismay of most hockey fans, not all. Some people don't want to, the toughness out there on the ice. It was a big part of my childhood growing up watching hockey. It was a really big part of cracking into the professional leagues. But that's a big one. The speed, the overall speed of the game and the players, the ability of all these guys to skate is just unreal. Anybody coming over the boards, they can fly. And the guys that are probably look at lower echelon of skaters certainly have a skill set that provides value to their hockey club. And so the overall skill, as any sport is, just evolves, right, with specific training. Speed is a big part of it. That's getting out of some of the physical stuff. So the clutching and grabbing is gone. And then when you talk specifically for me, anyway, as a goalie, big change is the size of these guys. These guys, my height at 6 feet just probably doesn't even cut it. You got to be really extra special in today's game. Our league is younger. The goalies are bigger and the guys are faster. So we got a really good product on the ice. The game is growing. We're back on ESPN. TNT picked us up this year as well. So in the United States, the game is doing great. We got some really good runway ahead of us as a sport. There's a big competition out there, a lot of other sports for youth to play, but we're good. We like where we're at. Our grassroots is solid. And Canada, with having 7 teams, they're doing really well. So we just wish everybody up in Canada to continue to be safe, and look forward to seeing everybody hopefully in the near future.
Now, Marty, you talked about being a college goalie, and I had to watch you beat Doug Woog and the Gophers many times when you were playing. But I got to ask you, being that Michigan guy, how'd you feel this weekend when those guys finally beat Ohio State?
Yeah, I keep hearing that. I was at the game, got my family to go. We were up north, and asked my kids and didn't pressure them if they wanted to go to the famed Ohio State-Michigan game, and they all unequivocally said yes, and it was one of the better decisions we made. It was a memory for a family of a lifetime. I've been in that stadium plenty. And when I hear finally, the last time I watched Michigan Ohio State, we did beat them, but it was also in the 90s. It was a long time ago. I'll tell you, as far as sports goes, it's one of the greatest atmospheres I've ever been in. I've been in some amazing ones as a player, as a fan, as a spectator. So that to get it, it's been it's been 15 years since we've been competitive year in, year out with them. So hopefully this sticks around. You hear oftentimes, I did when I was at Michigan, people say, right, hey, you go to Michigan to beat Ohio State, and the rest is all gravy. And so when you do it, especially in an atmosphere like that, with was number 2 and number 5 ranked team with big BCS rights to go to it. Game day was there. It looked good on TV, I heard, but I'll tell you, it was way better in person. Even though we were freezing our little butts off, it was well worth the pain. And win or not, it was just a good game. But we played flawlessly, and really proud of my alma mater. And it was good to be a fan watching that game. And what it made me realize is, one, how important that game is for the country, to see the Big Ten top 2 teams going at it on the last game of the year. And then also how many people really hate Ohio State. I thought that was great. So I got a lot of great texts and calls regarding that game and the outcome, and to be there just made it that much better.
And Marty, we talked about college, and what a brilliant college career you had. People don't realize you were the all-time winningest NCAA goalie in college hockey history, and people forget history. But that stuff like that, it's still got to mean you have so many Dallas Stars records. You have so many, things that, everybody's out to beat that. But, what do you think to you is the thing that you're going to be remembered for the most?
That's a good one. It's going to be really hard to break the 127 wins that, we amassed while we were there in our 4 years, going to 4 Final Fours, losing 2 championships, winning 2. That's a pretty tough era to beat right there. And so 127 wins, just on the quick math, right? Someone's got to play all 4 years. Someone's got to be healthy. I joke, but I'm dead serious. Someone's going to be just bad enough to the NHL team, the league doesn't want them. But you got to be good enough in order to play and to collect all those wins as well. We had awesome players. We had a great coach. So I think the Michigan to me is something that, at least personally, means a lot. That was a big part of my career. The confidence it gave me in the professional ranks, playing in big games before I ever got to the NHL on national TV. It's just rivalry barns across the Midwest and the Northeast. I'll tell you, it really grew me well. So, and the other hand, that record is great. And I think probably it will be remembered over time, mostly for changing the way the goalies play the puck. My skating ability, like a lot of other guys, makes a big difference. But turning my hand over on my stick was very untraditional. I was the first to do it. Hadn't seen anybody else do it. I just did it almost by accident. But not every goalie in the world, for the most part, plays the puck that way. And I think being a pioneer, not wanting any credit for it, not asking for any, but just watching every single goaltender come to the American Airlines Center here, or at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, or Yost Ice Arena where the Michigan plays. Every goalie flips their hand over now, and being the first one to do it just gives me a wry smile every time to see them get out there, move the puck, good or bad, but a lot of them are really good at it, and that technique is really did me well, and it's done a lot of young guys around the world and girls for that matter, has served them well as well.
So Marty, you've done a lot of work on and off the ice. Let's get to off the ice. What can you tell us here about your involvement with the Dallas Stars Foundation?
Yeah, I would love to. And I think, Casey, I can't talk about the Dallas Stars Foundation without, the preceding events in my life from my childhood in Sault Ste. Marie. My parents were very giving people. My mom spent a lot of her own time not looking for attention or money or anything else, just helping out older people in the community. And it stuck with me and resonated. To have a platform as a professional athlete or even a college athlete, a chance to make a difference in someone's lives was never understated for us. When I was at Michigan, visiting Mott Children's Hospital as often as we could, was just a really good learning experience to see the power you can have as an athlete to brighten somebody's day, just at the very least. And so now fast forward to my current day in retirement of professional hockey, working for the Dallas Stars Hockey Club has been great on the business side, but also be able to create and raise awareness, raise money, change policy within the community which I live. We've been here for over 20 years. And that's been a real highlight of my life, and something looking back, as you start getting older and get a little more nostalgic. These things are what really matters and makes a big difference. We live in a really awesome community that really does give back a lot. But what we're doing here as a hockey club, but most importantly, as a nonprofit and as a difference maker within our community, it feels good. It doesn't come without its own challenges. Raising money, during COVID's a tough time, making sure it goes to good use and gets in good hands and does major change within our community. Those are things that kicks the sheets off in the morning, if you will, for us. I got a great team over there at the Dallas Stars Foundation. Couldn't be happier and proud to watch this thing evolve to where we are. Look forward to seeing it grow even more. We got big plans for our group and for our hockey club, and then for our community, which really gets a benefit from it.
And Marty, hockey, but you also got some stuff brewing in your life as far as a personal business that's been blowing up. And again, you can brag a little bit about what you got going on.
Yeah, well, I like what you did there with the brewing, Dave. We don't get too thirsty here, middle of a work day. But my cousin Mark and I started a brewery called Kingsville. It's in Kingsville, Ontario. There's a very famous Kingsville, Texas, where, we live down here. And we started a brewery, and we have 5 awesome beers as it sits now. We've had seasonals, and we've had RTDs, some vodka and gin drinks with some local natural fruits. So it's been an amazing experience, a huge learning curve for us. We're in the long game. I think the coolest thing about it, not just making beers, making great quality beers that that people get to enjoy, but it's having a family business and getting a chance to employ people. It's not one thing that really wasn't why we started it, but it's getting a chance to just step back once in a while and be like, you know what, it is great to be outside and drinking awesome Canadian beer, sharing with your friends and your family at the right time, and being responsible for that matter, is making a difference in our community when, the world is having a tough time. And so to have a really cool, growing family business with some really good people within our team really makes me happy, honestly. And so it has its challenges too, but I've learned a lot. And so Kingsville Beers is here to stay. Hopefully people see it. Right now we're selling in Ontario and Texas. We're looking at growing that, but everybody we've run across, my favorite thing to do is have a tasting with people, because our brewmaster Derek Billicraley makes awesome beer. So we've had some fun with it, learned a lot, like I said, and I appreciate giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
Well, I got to ask, so I'm a dumb American and you guys are Canadian. What's the difference between American beer and Canadian beer? I know Molson and everything, but what is the big difference?
Well, historically, the difference what they think of is the Canada makes great beer, which we do. We got really good, clean water. We have high standards in terms of our ethical use of crafting beers. But a lot of people just assume our beers are stronger. Molson Labatt that we grew up drinking. We just didn't drink light beer. They're 5% beers. And so here in the U.S., right, you're drinking a lot of light beer. There's a lot of it that gets drank, and so that's only at 4% or 4 and change. So that's probably the biggest one. But we generally craft ours really well. Those big boys in Canada are no longer Canadian-owned companies, which is sad. So we want to carry on that tradition as a Canadian-owned company to come here to the U.S. as well. Hopefully global at some point, but at the very least, just make a really high-quality beers for everybody to enjoy at a good price, no less. And then bring the best of what I was kid. I was conceived in Canada, but my career was born down here in Texas. So we're trying to do the same thing with our beer at Kingsville Brewing, and it's been a ton of fun. So at the end of the day, there's really no big difference other than just nostalgia, and I'm a big fan of that.
Speaking of nostalgia, Casey, you got a couple of rapid fire questions you want to pop out at Marty real quick?
Yeah. Who was your favorite player to play against?
Oh, that's a good one. To play against, I just love being on the ice against, Joe Sakic. Some of the big guys, you needed to pay attention to. Forsberg was on the same team. I'm like, those guys were awesome. Even though he had my number, Datsuk and Zetterberg in Detroit. That just posed such a great challenge. And so I look forward to playing against the best in the world. And so those are some of the names, Paul Kariya, when he was with the Ducks, man, you always had to be on your toes. So I enjoyed the challenge. I really did. And there's a lot of great players that I got to play with and against. And looking back now, you're like, man, I just appreciated going to work every night and wondering who it is I got to stop today in order to win the game.
Do you have a favorite building you played in the NHL?
Yeah, there's a lot actually. I think the obvious ones are in Canada, just being a Canadian kid, and Canadians know hockey so well, and they support it tremendously. But a sneaky one was San Jose, the Shark Tank in California. They had great teams. We were big rivals, played each other in the playoffs. They had good goalies, and they were loud, and they hated me, Casey. They really did. So I appreciated their willingness to help their team win, chant my name and trying to get under my skin. I relished those moments, use it as motivation, and I'll tell you, the Shark Tank was a fun place for me to play.
Last question, favorite non-Canadian city? I don't want to offend anybody of your home people back there, but was there a town you just loved going to, maybe the fans, the nightlife? Was there that one city that you really always look forward to?
Yeah, there's a lot actually, but I still say Chicago downtown, even in the winter when it's bitter cold. It's just such a well-built city. It's right on the Great Lakes. I'm a fan, grew up on the Great Lakes. A beautiful city, shop, restaurants, food, just the nightlife. It was just, and it was old and had great history. And so to me, Chicago was one. There's a little bit of an error there where the organization wasn't what it was and wasn't what it is today, but it was very short-lived. And so we'd roll in there, knew we were going to collect 2 points and have a good time. I'll tell you, no better feeling than that for an old goalie.
Well, thanks so much, Marty, for taking a lot of time out of your day to talk to us. And Casey, great questions. Good job. We're trying to train Casey a little bit so I can hand off and we can get these awesome guests like you and continue to show people that anybody can do anything. And again, I appreciate your time, our friendship, and continued success off the ice with the brewery and everything. Casey, you got anything you got to add?
No, just thank you, Marty. And again, I echo Dave. Continued success to you, and thank you for all you do on and off the ice.
Well, all that's my pleasure, and this was a real treat for me. So, Dave, good seeing you, my friend. Look forward to doing some more. Casey, great job. This is a lot of fun, and as a hockey fan, with Howardchuk and Johnny Bauer, the great goaltender, number one right there, who's somebody for me, just who you look up to in life. Seeing those jerseys behind you, man, my man, is great. I got to meet Howardchuk. He passed recently. He was played in a big era behind Gretzky and Lemieux. But why Canadians are so humble and so great are people like Dale Howardchuk, who just was a great person and a phenomenal hockey player. it was sad to see him go. So anyway, I just want to say I really appreciate the representation behind you. It's not lost on me.
Yeah,
Hey.
and actually Dale called me just before he passed to say goodbye because he was a really good friend of mine, and he did a lot for Easter Seals. So I really got to know him over the years, and it was, of course, an awful conversation to have, but it meant so much at the same time that he thought of me before he passed and wanted to, give me a little bit of a message, and I feel that he's with me every day.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'll tell you as an old hockey player now, still greatest single thing I think about, proud I am of our sport of hockey is the guys, and that story you share with Dale means a lot to me, and it's things that we try to emulate every day, just to be a good person. Sometimes it's more difficult than that, but Dale was one of the best. And I really appreciate you sharing that moment you had with him. And again, it's the best part of our sport is the guys.
And you're not so bad yourself, Marty. So thanks for joining us. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up our show. I'm Dave Stevens. You got Casey MacKay this way. You're watching
Pressbox. Welcome back to Pressbox on the Disability Channel. I'm Casey MacKay, and Dave, if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk hockey for a few minutes. I know you don't know much, but I think we can get through this.
That's right. I'm not known for my hockey prowess, but that's why I'm leaving it to you as the expert. But I am smart enough to know that Toronto's a pretty good team. And if you could kind of just explain to the viewers out there, why is Toronto doing so good right there this season? And can they beat Florida or Tampa Bay to get to the Stanley Cup championship?
Oh, I think they could. I think a big part of this season so far has been their big guys really stepping up and scoring. And I think if that continues, I think they could be the hottest team in the NHL, which they are currently. And I think if the big guys keep stepping up and scoring, that can continue. So I think they're really on a good road right now, and I'm really looking for that to continue.
And we talk about the other team in the East, the Washington Capitals, and Ovechkin is trying to get to that record, trying to pass the great one with those goals, and he's had a little bit of success. But are they real? Can Ovi keep it up, and are they that team to beat in that division?
I think they could be. Alex only has 4 power play goals on the season, so he only needs one more to tie Dave Anderchuk for the all-time NHL record for most power play goals in a season. So I really hope that happens, and I'm really pulling for Washington that Alex can get to that milestone.
Well, let's not keep our Canadian and East Coast bias. Who are you liking in the West, and is there a team that's kind of shocking you? Oh, maybe say in Minnesota?
Oh yeah, Minnesota is in first in their division, which we've never seen in the NHL in a long time. Minnesota is not a well talked about team, so I think come playoff time they could really turn a few heads, Dave. We're in for a really exciting finish here.
Well, it makes it much more interesting to watch, especially as basketball is kind of going crazy with 150-point games. So I'll take a shout out every now and then. Marty was a pretty good goalie, and thank him for being our guest. Thank Chris Berman for being our guest. And Case, before we leave, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you could get one or two either all-time players in either hockey or any kind of sport, who would be your dream interview?
I think if I could get Morgan Riley to be interviewed, if I could get to interview Morgan Riley, that'd be my dream player. Just because I love watching him every night. He performs at his best, and I just think he has such a positive attitude and really gets his teammates pumped. So it's really exciting to be watching that in this time in hockey.
Yeah, especially if we get a lockout in baseball, we're going to need to keep paying attention to hockey a little more. So, Casey, where can people find you and watch you and see some of the things you've done? What's the best way to check you out on social media?
So I have Twitter at Casey MacKay, LinkedIn is Casey MacKay, Instagram is at Casey MacKay, and Facebook is Casey MacKay. So if you find me on any of those channels, you can keep up with what I'm doing. I'm always at events, always promoting hockey, always promoting sports. So you can definitely find me there.
All right, my friend, that's going to conclude this edition of Pressbox, but so much excitement, as we mentioned earlier in the show. I'll be at the Super Bowl. Jay has all kinds of plans for us going forward, and all the amazing shows and the people that we deal with, again, helping support veterans and suicide awareness and all the wonderful things that the Disabilities Channel is doing, not only with those with disabilities, but pairing with amazing charities like Watering Seeds and Disability Dream and Do and Ability Media and myself. Don't forget my shameless plug. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, even some occasional TikTok. But that's going to be it for me. I'm Dave Stevens, and who are you again?
I'm Casey MacKay.
You're watching Pressbox. Make sure you follow us, support the Disability Channel, and please treat people with empathy and not sympathy. We'll see you next time.